अनन्तं विभुं निर्विकल्पं निरीहं शिवं सङ्गहीनं यदोङ्कारगम्यं निराकारमत्युज्ज्वलं मृत्युहीनं परं ब्रह्म नित्यं तदेवाहमस्मि। स्वाराज्य साम्राज्य विभूतिरेषा भवत्कृपा श्रीमहिमप्रसादात् प्राप्ता मया श्रीगुरवे महात्मने। नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु। नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु। नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु। नमस्तस्मै सदैकस्मै कस्मै चिन्महसे नमः। यदेतद्विश्वरूपेण राजते गुरुराजते। यदेतद्विश्वरूपेण राजते गुरुराजते। हरि ओम तत्सत्। जय गुरु। Now, to understand Bhagavad Gita also, we have to understand the fundamental philosophy and the basis on which this Bhagavad Gita was created, either by Vedavyasa or by Krishna, whatever. This Brahma Vidya, which is the knowledge of the truth of our identity, real identity or the self, which is the substratum of the entire universe, which we generally refer to as consciousness, but not exactly the consciousness the scientists mean. It is a little different from that. We will clarify it later. It was there in the Upanishads, and people used to go to the hermitage or meet some guru in the forest and learn under his tutelage, remain with him years, yugas after yugas also sometimes, years after years, to learn this knowledge, live this knowledge, and then perhaps some of them will become teachers. They will again dissipate the knowledge. So it was available for very few people, those who did not have any attraction for the worldliness, for the worldly life. It could be some of the people who were right from young age, they did not have the attraction for the worldly objects or worldly life. Very few like that would be there. So they, after studying in the Gurukula, there used to be convocation. When you have finished your study, there will be given the choice that those who like to follow the Guru's way of life, the teacher's life or so, they would be taking to Naishthika Brahmacharya. Nishtha means complete dedication, exclusive dedication. So exclusive dedication to Brahmacharya. They will not get married, they will not earn money, they will not have the worldly life. Very few were such people. The others were allowed to go, earn their living and get married, have children. If they were princes, they would rule the kingdom also, have the proper fulfilling life, proper fulfilling household life, and then leave everything to the next generation, not to look for the, again, doing babysitting for the grandchildren. Now it has become very all over the world. So they used to leave and go for Vanaprastha, or in some cases, as in Mundaka Upanishad talks about Shaunaka, who was a great householder. When they say great householder, it means he lived the household life according to the prescriptions of the Vedas or the Upanishads or generally Vedas. The prescriptions are such that if you live the life properly, you should outlive it. Suppose you were playing with the dolls. If I give you a doll, will you like to play now? At one time, you had been so eager and jealous about another person having a better doll also. You were greedy of having it. Even if your father did not have money, you would ask for it. Otherwise, you will not you would cry. So that which was having so much of attraction for you, now it doesn't have any attraction. That means you have outlived that attraction for playing with the doll. It is not only with that, like that so many games and other things. A person should outlive, he should enjoy whatever is given. Our Shastras do not say that always there should not be any desire. If you want the ultimate truth, the desires have to go. It has to go. Knowing the truth, automatically the desire goes because it is redundant, because it is meaningless. So by the understanding of the truth, automatically the desires will follow. That is different. But otherwise, for all others, it was dharma, artha, kama, moksha. That means after learning the basic natural laws of sustenance. Dharma means the law of sustenance of nature, law of sustenance of life, law of sustenance of the society. So by living in what manner my life will be sustained, my society's life will be sustained, the nature will be sustained. This is the code of dharma. It is not religion at all, as our even constitution interprets. It's not so. Dharma means the fundamental law, the fundamental rhythm of nature, by following which, if we live following dharma, then we will be sustained, nature will be sustained, our life will be sustained, the society will be sustained. So first was dharma, then learning the dharma, you go to earn. In earning, it is not a dharma artha. Artha is not segregated from dharma. It's a fourfold purushartha, it is said. Purushartha means by applying our self-effort, whatever we gain. That is called purushartha. Paurusha means our self-effort. That means applying, the human being is supposed to apply their self-effort. Not for useless things and going only degeneration towards degeneration, but to going towards elevation. So it is called fourfold purusharthas. That means each is linked to the other. They are not separated. So when we are going to earn money, earn our living, it has to be based on the dharma. That is, whatever we have, that means our earning should not harm others, should not harm the society. It should be always for the benefit of the society, for the sustenance of the society, for the sustenance of the nature also. That our earning procedure should not hurt nature. Then what will happen? Already it has happened in the world. That our greed has increased so much that we have completely spoiled nature everywhere. So dharma, artha, kama. Then comes the fulfillment of desires. That is, Shastras are telling us that you must fulfill the rightful desires you have, not the harmful desires. Harmful desires will be dangerous to you as well as others. So even in fulfilling the desires with the money earned by you according to the dharma, the fulfillment of the desires also will have to be done according to the dharma. That is, which will sustain life, sustain society, sustain nature. According to that, we should fulfill dharma. We should fulfill our kama desires. Now, if we fulfill like that, what will happen is that we will find that we have outlived the desires. That is, desires are no longer haunting us. Generally, what happens that we don't fulfill the desires properly in a legitimate manner, in a proper, harmonious manner, being harmonious with the nature. So we are not able to get rid of the desires. Even in very, very old age also they go on haunting us, and that it is not allowing us to become free. It becomes a bondage for us. But the Shastras, what they are saying is that if you live like that, then you will be automatically rid of the desires. You will not have any worldly desire. That is what Mundaka Upanishad present right in the beginning, that Shaunako Havai Mahashalaha. That he was a great householder. Shaunaka was a great householder. That means he lived the household life in a manner that he had outlived all the desires, the worldly desires. He goes, Vidhivat Upasannah Angirasam Vidhivat Upasannah Papracha. He approached the Rishi Angiras in the hermitage. How? Vidhivat. Upanishads are very brief in that. You have to understand what they mean. Vidhivat means according to the Vedic prescriptions. How do we go to a guru? If you considered the knowledge of truth to be the highest in life, then how should you approach such a person who will give you the knowledge of the truth? Should there not be humility and absolute humility? So the Shastras say you carry some faggot, some firewood in your arms or on your head, and approach and be humble. Very humbly you ask whatever you have to ask and offer those firewoods to him, because they need the firewood for their living. So, what did he ask? This is what the way in the morning also I discussed. From their words we have to understand what is it. He asked, Kasminnu bhagavo vijñate sarvamidam vijñatam bhavatiti. Oh sir, oh Bhagavan, by knowing what, everything will be known. What does it mean? He did not go to Angiras to ask for more property or a better service or a higher remuneration or a very good children or grandchildren, nothing. He is asking by knowing what, everything will become known. Because in the dharmic lessons he has learned that knowing the Brahman or knowing the truth or knowing our real identity, there will be nothing more to be known. Our intelligence will be absolutely fulfilled. So he had only that desire left, to know the ultimate truth. All the desires were already sublimated. So this is what is the outliving. Shaunaka had outlived his worldly desires, and he was left with the desire for moksha, as you say, or for freedom, or for the ultimate knowledge, which will give us the freedom from all bondages. With that he went. So immediately Angiras understands from his questions, from his approach, that here is a fit disciple, fit student, whom I can talk about the ultimate truth. And right in the beginning he gives the ultimate truth. In the first shloka, that is in Mundaka Upanishad, 6th shloka, he speaks about the truth in so much of depth and comprehensiveness that I always say the greatest scientist also will not be able to understand, because they have not done the sadhana. A scientist also, to understand that truth, he has to do sadhana. Because unless the mind is free from the whole of the duality, one will not be able to understand the truth. We may explain, theoretically one may understand, otherwise not. Whereas you find in Kathopanishad, it is a 7-year-old boy who approaches Yamaraja and asks the same question. That what happens when the body falls? Some people say there is something, some people say there is nothing. That means he wanted to learn the truth which is not apparent to us, which is not in the body, which is something subtler than that. And later on, that is another question which people will find it very difficult to understand, that how thousands of years ago our people could write like this. The second question and the last question of Nachiketa is, Anyatra dharmad, anyatra adharmat, anyatra asmat krita kritat, anyatra bhutatya bhavyatya yat tat pashyasi tad bada. Yamaraja was telling him so many things about life, about rituals, about this, about that, many things. Initially he tried to allure him with all kinds of properties, lifespan and whatnot, all those things, and found that he is not interested in anything at all. Then he started giving him instruction about how to lead a life of a seeker, etc. Nachiketa getting impatient, he said that I am not interested in all this. You tell me if you know something like this. Yat tat pashyasi tad bada. If you see anything like this, you tell me. Anything like what? Anyatra dharmad, anyatra adharmad. If you know anything which transcends the code of dharma and adharma, the moral code, the way of living, etc., because they are all within the worldliness. Something is dharma, something is adharma. Is there anything, any truth which transcends the code of dharma and adharma? Anyatra asmat krita kritat. If you know anything which transcends the causality, the cause and effect chain, krita and akrita, cause and effect chain. Because in this world, everywhere, whatever we find, it is under the ken of causality, is it not? Can anything happen without cause? Here, everything there will be a cause. And in producing the effect, the cause undergoes a certain change. And the effect is born. So, in the object level, in the objective world, we don't find anything which is beyond the cause and effect chain, causality. He is asking, he knew that the truth, the ultimate truth, the supreme truth, it cannot be within causality. I have explained it many times. In short, I will say. Suppose you look for the cause of A and you find B as the cause. Suppose this table, what is the cause? The carpenter and the wood. What is the cause of the wood? The tree. What is the cause of the tree? The seed. Like that, you go. What is the cause of the seed? Again, another tree or the fruit. So like that, causality is there in everywhere in this. Suppose the light is coming from the sun. We are getting the light. What is the cause? The sun, the hydrogen in the sun. And by emitting the light, the hydrogen is getting converted into helium. So the sun is undergoing a change in that. In this causal change, whenever the cause is producing an effect, the cause is also undergoing a change. Everything is undergoing a change. So is there not anything? Nachiketa's point was is everything changeful, or we have something immortal, something unchanging behind this changing creation, changeful creation? So all this creation is linked by the cause and effect chain. Oh Yamaraja, if you know anything beyond that, transcending this causal chain, please tell me. That was his question. Anyatra dharmad, anyatra adharmad, anyatra asmat krita kritat, anyatra bhutat cha bhavyat cha yattat pashyasi tad vada. If you see anything beyond the past and the future, bhuta and bhavishya, past and the future, you tell me. That means what? Beyond past and future means that which does not change with time, which is transcending time also. Because this time and causality are linked. Whatever precedes in time is called cause, is it not? Whatever follows in time, we call it effect. They are all together. So that truth which is beyond causality is beyond time also. Can you imagine the question of 7-year-old Nachiketa and the book which is thousands and thousands of years ago, written like this? So, and he is asking also which is transcending past and future. He doesn't speak about the present. Why? Because the limit of, those who know calculus, the limit of present is 0. Suppose you measure time to a very high perfection, say 10 to the power minus 20 second you can measure time. Then 10 to the power minus 20 second back is the past, and 10 to the power minus 20 second forward is the future, is it not? If you measure time still, say 10 to the power minus 100, so that much is the past and that much forward is the future. So where is the present? So when you, in calculus, if you find the limit of the present, it is 0. But there is much more, much deeper truth in that. The present is what he is looking for. The present means it is not a 0, but it is also infinity. It is the transcendental truth which is beyond time, beyond past, beyond future. And that is what our real identity is. That is what we are. We always think that I am getting affected, I am going to die, I am agitated, I am not peaceful, what form I will get? Always changeful, changeful. No, we are not like that. We are absolutely unchanging. Our real identity never undergoes any change. The moment we realize that, in spite of all the worldliness, remaining in, swimming in the worldliness, we don't get affected anymore. Spirituality means this unaffectedness in the world. That unaffectedness is natural. You don't have to argue with it and get the unaffectedness. Once we realize the truth, you become unaffected by that. Because you understand that I am a revealer, that I in us, the consciousness in us, the Atma in us, that is a revealer of this changeful universe, changeful objects, gross objects, as well as the subtle objects of the thoughts in the mind, emotions in the mind. All these are revealed by the consciousness, the Atma, by the I we refer to. We are saying I, thinking that we have created a small egoistic identity around that I, thinking that this is what I am and it is different from all others. It is not that. When we discovered this transcendental identity that we really are, we feel that we are immortal. Because it is not undergoing any change with time at all. That is how the rishis in the years, they could sing. Shinvantu vishve amritasya putraha aye dhamani divyani tasthu. They called and said, oh, you all are children of immortality. How could they say? Unless he realized that he is immortal, can he address all the people as children of immortality? Saying that, he says that you are also immortal, but the pity is that you don't know that you are immortal. You can know, but you don't know. Shinvantu vishve amritasya putraha. You are all children of immortality. Aye dhamani divyani tasthu. We are all enamored of the devas in the heavens and all, according to the Vedic traditions and all. Oh, all the devas, you also here, because you are also changeful. You are also undergoing changes. That is also another world, if at all heaven is there. So actually nothing is mortal. Everything, all the mortality is floating in the immortal truth, and that alone is. How does he say that? Vedahametam purusham mahantam aditya varnam tamasah parastat. He could say, because he says, I have known. It is a statement of fact we should understand. It is not a philosophy, as people say Upanishads are philosophy. Upanishads are not a philosophy. Upanishads are statement of facts. They are record of the experiments done by our subjective rishis. The rishis who were the subjective scientists of our country. They have done the experiment going within. And whatever they have found as discovery, experimental discovery, experiential discovery, they have revealed in the Upanishads. It is not at all a philosophy. Philosophy has been created out of it later on in the various other granthas. But the Upanishads are straight away, they are revelation of the truth. He says that Vedahametam Purusham Mahantam. Because I have seen that Mahantam Purusha, that Purusha. Generally Purusha means the I in us, that conscious entity in us. Generally we think that is going to die, that is going to change, going here, there, etc. That is the Purusha in the small sense, constricted Purusha. But when we really discover that Purusha, we understand that that is transcendental, universal. There is no two Purusha at all. It is one, and beyond one also it is transcendental. He says that I have seen that my real identity, that Mahantam Purusham, Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parastat, blazing like the sun beyond the darkness. It is not a physical expression, not physical darkness and physical sun. That means when you come to know that the knowledge is the light, that the darkness we are carrying, the darkness of ignorance throughout our life, that darkness of ignorance just simply vanishes in one light. When you suppose in a room there has been darkness for 1000 years or even more, in a cave you have gone, the darkness there is for thousands and thousands of years. If you light a lamp there, Will it not immediately go? It will become lit. Like that, when the ignorance goes, then it is, the revelation is like the sun blazing there. Aditya Varnam, Tamasah Parastat. It is beyond the darkness of ignorance. Tameva Viditva Atimrityumeti. Only by knowing that Mahantam Purusha, Atimrityumeti, we can cross over death, we can transcend death. We are always surrounded by death. We are afraid of death because we don't know what is death. So we will cross over death by knowing that we are no more afraid of death, no more afraid of any change at all. It goes beyond all the changes, all the transitions. Tameva viditva atimrityumeti nanyah pantha vidyate ayanaya. There is no other path by which you can become immortal. You can practice yoga and exercises for 24 hours also. The body is not going to be immortal. The immortality comes by knowing our real identity, that I am immortal. That I we are referring to, it is not constricted by our idea, a created idea of the personality that this is what I am. That is why it is called yoga. Yoga means fusion. Yoga means we add 3 and 4 and say 7. The 3 or 4 getting fused in it. Union. It means union. It means fusion. We are always thinking I am different from everything else. I am this small I. With that we are moving. When that artificially created, posited, I am using the word, I, that egoistic identity, it gets dissolved into the universal identity, the transcendental identity. That is the real yoga. All other yogas are preparation for that. Do you understand? That is the real yoga. That means we are no more separate. We become one, everywhere, the same. So you will find in entire spiritual literature, Atma is never used plural or Dvivachanam. Atma, you will find never Dvivachana or Purusha by plural is used. It is always in singular because there cannot be two Atmas. The Atma cannot move from here and there. If at all anything moves, that is another Atma, not the Vedanta or the spiritual Atma we talk about, or not the Atma we come to know through our sadhana. The Atma which thinks of moving from here to there, that is a religious concept of Atma. And if such an Atma is there, it is for science one day to detect, because it becomes an object. The Atma is coming, it is limited, space limited. It is time limited. After a time it goes to one body to another body. That means it is moving in the space. That means it is an object, maybe subtle object, extremely subtle. But still it is in the objective field which is undergoing change, causality, everything. The Atma we speak in spirituality, it never moves at all. It is the consciousness. We think that conscious is that which moves by itself. But the real consciousness, there is no question of movement because it is not an object. You can never discuss consciousness as, oh, this is consciousness. Even inside also, oh, this is the self. No, then it is not the self. That which is revealing, that is the self. It is the revealer of everything. It is the revealer of the world. It is the revealer of the mind. It is the revealer of the thoughts. It is the revealer of the emotions. And it is the revealer of the unconscious state also. When there is no signal. Suppose you have had an accident. For 1 second you are unconscious. When you are getting back consciousness, are you not knowing that you were unconscious? That time you may not know because there was no activity. But you know that I was unconscious for a while. Now I have got back the consciousness. Is it not? So who revealed that unconscious state? Unconscious means it is actually unaware. The consciousness was still there, but the awareness you had lost. So it was a no signal state. This is happening in deep sleep also. The difference in samadhi is that in samadhi you come to know that this is it. In sleep you are not knowing it, that's all. But the no signal state is also revealed by the consciousness. So normally in science and otherwise, whatever we are referring to as consciousness, you can call it awareness. The Atma or the Brahman or the consciousness, when we refer to in spirituality, it is the universal transcendental I. It cannot be multiple at all. Am I becoming too abstract and all? Are you losing interest? No? So, actually, I wanted to introduce Bhagavad Gita, but I have again moved over to Upanishads. But Bhagavad Gita is based on the knowledge of the Upanishads. That is why at the end of each chapter you will find Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishadsu. That means this chapter belonging to Bhagavad Gita, which is again a part of the Upanishadic knowledge. So it is based on the Upanishadic knowledge. It is a later creation than the Upanishads. Upanishads were Shrutis, they were coming from mouth to mouth. At that time, writing was perhaps not there. Bhagavad Gita is much later creation. Now, what I wanted to say is that Upanishadic knowledge was available to very few people. Only those who have left, those who did not have any desire, so-called worldly desires also, they used to go to the hermitage and learn from the Guru and become known. Like that it was. Now, like that, it was continuing, and maybe there was some social various changes, upheavals, etc. So later on, some people thought that if we leave the society and go to the forest and only pursue the knowledge, is our life meant for only that? Can we not live in the society with the knowledge? Is it possible or not, first of all? And by living like that, can we transform the society or not? So, although that is the point of Bhagavad Gita, but it must have been there earlier also, because Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying that it is nothing new that I am telling you. This knowledge was available with the kings. The Rajarshis were practicing this knowledge. It was without that they would not have been able to rule the kingdom so well. But with time, the kings have become corrupt. And Krishna says, I have come to re-establish a rule of dharma on this society. The kings again should get back to this knowledge and they should practice remaining on the knowledge. So I am not introducing, Krishna says, I am not introducing anything new. It was there with our kings. But as far as Bhagavad Gita goes, it is a revolutionary presentation, because Upanishadic knowledge, it was believed and it is believed that one has to be desireless to pursue that, at least reasonably free of worldly desire to pursue this knowledge. And that is very much known also. Suppose most of the people Swamiji has as a disciple or devotee, all of them report that I am not able to meditate. Swamiji asks them to meditate for 1 hour. They will say that I am meditating for 10 minutes. And all of them will say that, but Swamiji, I am doing interactional sadhana. Actually, what they are doing is interactions only. The sadhana element, whether they are doing or not, who is going to find out? But to escape the meditational sadhana, they will say. That means there is a difficulty in meditating. People are finding it difficult to meditate. Why? Because they have lot of attraction and repulsion for the world. Their mind is full of raga and dvesha. Raga means clinging to what I like, and dvesha means hating what I dislike. If you look into your mind, you will find these are the main forces working in your mind. Either you are thinking of somebody you dislike or something you dislike, or you are thinking of something you like or somebody you like. Is it not so? That clinging, and it is not always meaningful. Unnecessarily you are spending time on what you like and what you do not like, the people you like or people you do not like. By thinking about them, what is happening? Tell me. Anything happening to that person or that thing? Only our mind is getting stressed. Is it not? By thinking like that, our mind is getting more and more constricted, stressed and impure. The mind which can remain free like the sky, that mind we are always encapsulating in this raga-dvesha. That was the great discovery of Bhagavad Gita. That it is not the world which is disturbing us. It is the raga-dvesha which is causing the problem. This is the one great discovery of Bhagavad Gita expressed in so many shlokas. It is not done like this anywhere else. That if we can get rid of this raga-dvesha, that means clinging to likes and dislikes will be there. Who will not like a good person? Who will not dislike a criminal? That will always be there. Or suppose some food which does not suit your body, you will not like it generally. Or which suits you, it will. Where is a guru who will not like a good disciple? Will he like his disciples to be always quarreling? So likes and dislikes will be there. But the problem comes, we are always clinging to the likes, that preference and prejudice, and we are always hating the dislike. We are intolerant about the dislike. Our mind is getting disturbed by this clinging and intolerance, hatred. So Bhagavad Gita pinpointed that this raga-dvesha is the real culprit. If we can get rid of it, then in the same world we can function like a free person. He says, raga-dvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyeshcharan atmavasyair vidheyatma prasadam adhigacchati. Raga-dvesha viyuktaihi tu vishayan indriyeshcharan. If a person can get rid of the raga-dvesha, viyukta, get rid of the raga-dvesha, he remains interacting in the same world with the same indriyas. The world has not changed for the person. It is the same world. And he is interacting with the same sense organs also. The same eyes, same ears, everything. Raga-dvesha viyukta istu vishayan indriyeshcharan. Vishaya means the objects. He is functioning in the objects, interacting with the objects with the same indriyas. But there is a big difference. What is that? Because he is raga-dvesha viyukta, he is freed of the raga-dvesha. Atmavasyair vidheyatma prasadam adhigacchati. He is not a vishayavash. That means we are always slave to the objects, is it not? The moment the objective situation, something you do not like, you try to run away or get agitated about it. Is it not so? You think of any number of examples. I don't have to give. So, suppose we are quite poised, we are very happily sitting somewhere. A person comes and abuses us. Immediately we start abusing him or fighting with him. So, what has happened to our self-seatedness? Just somebody telling a few words which may be true, may not be true. If it is true, then also we get agitated. That is our problem, because we cannot point out the defects of the ashramites. So, whether it is true or not, the fact is that we immediately react to it getting agitated. So, are we not vishayavash? Are we not slave to the world objects and world situations? Whatever situation, if you don't like, immediately we will lose the self-centeredness. Similarly, if the situation is something which you most like, then also we leave everything and run after that. Mundaka Upanishad describes beautifully with the example of the two birds sitting on the same tree on different branches. And how we forget and run after things. That we are keeping away for the time being, otherwise we get deviated. So, Atmavash, a person who has got freed from the raga-dvesha, he follows his inmost reality. That is, whatever order comes from him, from the inside, he is always anchored in his universal soul, the transcendental Atma. So we don't have to even know the Atma beforehand. If we can get rid of the raga-dvesha, then we have won over the world. We are no more slave to the world. So we can easily then, nobody has to tell you, from inside you will hear the voice what is to be done and what not to be done. Because we are always guided by the desires, guided by the order of the desires, that I want this, I don't want this. We don't hear the clear voice from within. So the moment we are getting rid of the slavery to the objective situation and object world and all, automatically we become Atmavash. Atmavashir. Vidheyatma. For him, no external discipline is necessary. His discipline comes from within. He is always walking the path of truth. He doesn't have to listen to the other orders of anything at all. He doesn't have to. That is what Nachiketa had asked. Anyatra dharmat, anyatra adharmat. This dharma, adharma code is for others, not for him. Because dharma, he is rightly anchored in the dharma. That is the dharma. Whatever he does is the dharma. Because he is anchored in the universal soul, the transcendental soul. So for him, he doesn't have to worry about that. Vidheyatma, his discipline comes from within, from his soul, because he is anchored in the soul. Prasadam adhigacchati. He attains prasada, or placidity of the mind. Bhagavad Gita doesn't use the word Ananda. I don't think anywhere they have used the word Ananda. In our Upanishads, actually, in such cases, they will use the word Ananda. Bhagavad Gita everywhere has used Sukha, 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 Atyantam Sukham, Sukham, etc. And in some places he has used, at least in here, they have used Prasada. Now this Prasada is a very pleasant situation of the mind. It is the placidity of the mind. It is not the Sukha we mean. That is why they have used the different word. Our Sukha and our Dukkha, the Prasada will be there in both. If you can get over the raga for Sukha and dvesha towards Dukkha, then you will find that you remain in Prasada, whether it is Sukha or Dukkha. Actually, Dukkha is more, you can relish even more, because in Dukkha the mind goes to a deeper level. You cannot say that Dukkha we don't like. When we get over this raga-dvesha, in Sukha, both in Sukha and Dukkha, we have that Prasada. That Prasada is a transcendental mind which remains placid, whether it is Sukha situation or Dukkha situation. So this was the great discovery of Bhagavad Gita, that it is not the world which is bothering us, it is our own raga-dvesha which is causing all the affectedness, all the problems in our life. If we can get over this raga-dvesha, then we can function in the same world. We don't have to go to the forest or live there to have that peace. You can have the prasada in the sukha, dukkha, all the worldly varieties, everything. Nothing is going to touch you or agitate you or affect you. Now, this is correct, na? 8 o'clock, na? Huh? It is up to 8:15. Now, the other great discovery of Bhagavad Gita is, there are quite a few. Let me see, tomorrow I would like to finish. See some more. That it detects that we are born with an insufficiency. Mark it. Achha, can we show some projector here? Slides can be shown. Here, huh? Tomorrow I will see. Because when we put it in the slide, then it remains in their mind a little more, perhaps. We are born with an insufficiency. Insufficiency, you understand? In Hindi or Sanskrit, it is abhava bodha. Abhava bodha. Why they are calling that it is insufficiency or abhava bodha we are born with? Because we are always looking for happiness. Suppose we were full, then will we look for happiness from anywhere? You are already happy. So because we are not full, there is a cavity there, there is an abhava bodha. We always look for happiness. That is why a knower who becomes fulfilled, he doesn't look for happiness anymore. But whatever he does out of joy, out of happiness. He is always joyful. He is doing whatever he is doing out of joy, not to get joy by doing it from the result. That is the difference. So, one is this abhava bodha, another is that we are born with a delusion also. What is the delusion? That something from the world, from the objective world, will make us fulfilled. The abhava is there, that insufficiency which is I am carrying, that insufficiency can go by getting whatever I want from the world. Now you think, has it ever gone? Whatever you have wanted throughout life. Suppose you are looking for the building, and when you get the building, you feel fulfilled. How many days, you tell me? Then again, still some another abhava bodha comes in. वो बिल्डिंग तो बन गया, लेकिन बच्चे तो विदेश में रहते हैं, क्या करेंगे बिल्डिंग लेके? और पहले किराए में रहते थे, सब कुछ ओनर देखते थे, अभी हमें ये सब कुछ देखना पड़ रहा है, गड़बड़ हो गया है. Something or other, something will occupy your mind. Happiness will not remain for me. That means that abhava bodha is not going. Anybody, anytime in the world, has he become fulfilled by getting anything from the world? Fame, riches, property, appreciation, nothing has been fulfilling ever. So that is why we are calling that it is a delusion, that we think that something from the world will remove this abhava bodha and make us fulfilled. So this delusion makes us work, and that delusion causes the bondage. What Bhagavad Gita is doing? Trying to point out why are we bound. If we understand why are we bound, then we will be able to become free also. By removing the bondage, we will become free. So why are we bound? Because we are trying to get happiness from getting anything from the world. And when we get it, the happiness does not remain, only for a moment. Then again another is coming. And if you don't get what you are looking for, then it causes affectation, dukkha and all. So this is the delusion which we have to overcome. So we are getting into activity generally looking for this happiness. This we have to understand. If you, suppose, why are you working in the factory? Oh, I will get some salary at the end of the month. With that, why are you wanting the salary? I will have food and I will have, my family has to be looked after. By that, what will happen? If you go on asking like that, will not the last word will be, I will be happy? Is it not so? So whatever work we are doing, it is only to get happiness. And sometimes we are getting happiness, sometimes we are not getting happiness, sometimes the desire is fulfilled, sometimes it is not, sometimes it is partial. And that we are floating through all that, constantly undergoing sukha dukkha. But if we get rid of this delusion that nothing in the world can ever fulfill me, can take away this abhava bodha, then the whole problem, if we realize this, the whole problem can be removed in a matter of moment. Are we not intelligent enough to understand that nothing in the world is going to fulfill me? Seeing the world over the whole eternity, we can see nothing. Nobody has become fulfilled by getting anything. Nachiketa was given thousands of years of life and all the properties which the heavens also do not have. He rejected. Why? Because he knew, he understood that nothing in the world can fulfill me. Even if it is given 1,000 years of life, after 1,000 years also, I will not like to die because I want to enjoy more. So abhava bodha is still there. Abhava bodha will not go. So this abhava bodha will go very easily when we discover the source of happiness within us. That is why so much importance is given to meditation and spiritual practices. Why? Because the day you understand, you experience, you realize, although this also we know, whatever be the cause of the happiness, is not happiness a product of our within. It is a mental product. Is it not so? The ananda is a product of our mind. Whatever may be the external reason, it is a product of the mind. So we should understand that the source of happiness is within. But we will not understand that. Realization will not be pakka, it will not be firm. So the first discovery in a meditative sadhana is we get flooded with ananda. When we forget the world, mind you, when we say we forget the world, means we forget our egoistic identity also, which is a product of the world. Unless we forget that I remain that small I with all the ego and everything, and the world has gone. It's not like that. When the world is gone, that egoistic small personality is also not there. Then we get flooded with ananda. Then the rishi sang, Anandadhyeva khalvimani bhutani jayanti anandena jatani jivanti anandam pravishanti avisamvishanti. That the whole creation is born of ananda. It lives in ananda. It is born in ananda, it gets destroyed also in ananda. After its death, it gets dissolved in ananda also. So mrityu also becomes ananda there. The janma also becomes ananda there. There is nothing other than ananda. So we get flooded with the ananda. We know that the ananda or the joy is the natural parameter or quality or characteristic of our own identity, the soul, we say. That our own identity, the Atma. Ananda is a quality of it, a characteristic of it. We don't have to get ananda from outside. And you can never get ananda from outside. When we get ananda from outside, it is only partial for a few moments, because by getting it, for some time our mind becomes peaceful. So the ananda which is welling forth, we are able to feel a little bit of it. Say, the waves are there on the pond. When the waves subside, you are able to see a little. And the vision will be clearer and clearer as the water is purer and purer, clearer. As long as the turbidity is more, even if the wave goes, you will not see the bottom. Is it not? But when the turbidity is also not there, the water is pure, it's clear, then you will be able to see the bottom very clear. Bottom means here it is our own inmost identity, the soul, we say. So because of the agitation in the mind, as long as the mind is agitated with the desire, we are not able to see the bottom. When that getting the object of desire, the mind becomes peaceful for a while, then we are able to see the bottom a little. But depending on the purity of the mind, that vision will be clearer. So the joy will not be the same. It will be different depending on how clear vision you are getting. Suppose we are wanting intensely something. That intensity of the desire, you will forget even food also. Food, rest, everything will be forgotten. Is it not? When we are intensely looking for something. So what does it mean, food? Other things, everything is forgotten, means the mind is absolutely focused on that which we are wanting intensely. So when you get that, then the mind becomes very much quiet, because other thoughts are no more disturbing. They are already gone by this intensity of the desire. So the joy you feel also is more intense. If you get something which you desired intensely, the joy also will be more in intensity, and maybe a little more time also it will remain. So actually, it is a discovery that the source of joy is within. It is not outside. Until this discovery becomes wholesome and complete, you will still look for joy outside. So when you discover, then you will no longer look for joy from anything in the world. You will go, you will work everything, but you will do it out of the joy of the soul, not looking for happiness from anything. This is the great change Bhagavad Gita wants to bring in. That we are born with the abhava bodha because we are not self-seated. We are missing the joy which is right there in our core being. And the delusion, because of the delusion that this can be filled by getting something from the objective world, which is never going to happen. The only solution lies in discovering the soul, where the joy is a spontaneous characteristics. Now, even if you are not able to discover the soul, we know that there is a property of there are some characteristics of the soul. What is that? It never changes, it never gets affected. Unaffectedness is the property. It is not constricted by any body or anything, it is universal. It is all embracing. It is loving everybody. There is no partialism in it. It's always impersonal. So, Bhagavad Gita puts it like that in meditative case, in meditative sadhana, you are discovering a soul which is like that. In the discovery, you are finding the infinite soul, the transcendental soul, which is unchanging, unaffected, etc. Now, does it mean that every time you will go into the meditation to know that soul? Then throughout the life you have to be meditating? Our mind and body has not been created to remain inactive throughout. So Bhagavad Gita says that you don't have to always find out the soul in meditation. You will not need it anymore when you can understand or you can experience the soul everywhere, in everything, in the whole world. The whole world is appearing in that soul. How do you do it? The interactions have to be changed. The interactions which are now governed by your selfishness, greed, desire, partiality, and all kinds of constrictions, those have to be treated. In the interactions also, you have to establish the soul properties. That is, when you are interacting in the factory, in your house, in the society, you have to gain enough of impersonality like the soul. That is, mine, me, and others, those have to go. Selfishness had to be replaced by selflessness. The partial love to specific things have to be replaced by universal love for everybody. So what will happen in your interaction itself when you are interacting with such an universal love, with so much of impersonality? You will find so much of joy in the interactions itself. Who will meditate? No need for meditation at all. In meditation, what are you doing? From the disturbing mind. Because why are you meditating? Because you are not happy with your mind. Is it not so? Meditation is a zero state. Why do you want to go to thoughtless meditation? Because you are not happy with your thoughts? Is there any explanation necessary? If we are happy with your thoughts, you would not have meditated. You are going to a thoughtless state because you are not happy with the thoughts. Now, if the mind constantly generates very fulfilling thoughts of universal love, impartiality, unaffectedness, etc., you will be very happy with the thoughts. Why should you want a zero state then? This is the greatness of Bhagavad Gita. That is not to look for divinity going away from the world, but to bring in divinity in the world. The world will remain the world, but by removing your raga-dvesha, you make the world divine for you. The world will remain as it is. For you, the world will become nectarine, divine. Like as Yoga Vasishtha says that if you don't want the dust to touch your feet, are you going to cover the whole earth with leather? You put on the shoes and go anywhere, the dust will not touch your feet. Purne manasi sampurnam jagat sarvam sudhadravaihi upanat gudhapadasya nanu charmastritaiva bhuhu. When the mind becomes full, this is the fullness, that there is no abhava bodha, there is no insufficiency. When the mind becomes full, for him the whole jagat becomes nectarine, full. The jagat remains jagat, the world remains world, but for him it becomes flowing with nectar. Like as upanad gudhapadasya nanu charmastritaiva bhuhu. One who has put on the shoes, the dust never touches feet. For that he doesn't have to cover the whole earth with leather. This is what Yoga Vasishtha says. Yoga Vasishtha also always tries to project that how to make our life divine, not to run away from life to attain divinity, but to make the life divine. We'll take it up again tomorrow. Prabuddham vimuktam vikārādihinam प्रसन्नं सदा नित्यबोधस्वरूपं परं निश्चलं निर्गुणं सर्वरूपं भजेऽहं सदानुस्मरामि प्रणौमि प्रबुद्धं विमुक्तं विकारादिहीनं प्रसन्नं सदा बोधस्वरूपं परं निश्चलं निर्गुणं सर्वरूपं भजेऽहं सदानुस्मरामि प्रणौमि।